to Building Solid Foundations Radio. This is Steve Matley, your host. Today we are talking to Kalani Creutzburg about ADUs. He is the CEO and founder of ADU Geeks, and we were talking about what ADUs are and a little bit about how you go about putting those in and what defines them. And Kalani, before the break, you mentioned something that had triggered a question for me. You're talking about all the ADUs you're doing and how you've increased the number recently of what you're doing, but how are you coping with the current shortage and skyrocketing prices in materials, lumber, steel, concrete, anything that's related to asphalt materials, all that stuff you need to build something, and the lack of skilled labor to build these things?
Great question. Well, when COVID hit, I mean, you can get wood anywhere. And I would say wood prices doubled, tripled, making ADUs almost too expensive to do.
Now, was this partly because of all the restaurants having to build the outside seating areas and buying all the lumber up?
Right, exactly. I almost started a new business just to create those things. But no.
Accessory dining units?
There it is. We're on to something. No, as of today, lumber prices have increased 40%. So to put this into perspective, a ADU that could have been built for $275 a square foot, let's call it 1,000 square foot ADU, so $275,000. Now you're really having a budget anywhere between $300 to $310 per square foot, just to accommodate for all of the different material prices that have increased. And to answer your question about the shortage of labor, I mean, that's a pain point that everybody is experiencing right now. And so what we've done is we're just consistently marketing hard for talented people. Okay. And so if you're listening to this and you need a job, give us a call.
Now, do they have to be trained or go through apprenticeship program? Or are you going to train them?
Well, on the contractor side, they're going to team up with our GCs and get mentored by them. But inside the office where all the design stuff happens, all the project management stuff happens, we're always looking for experienced folks who can really add value to the design process as well as the permitting process.
The NAHB had a study that came out in January that said that the last price hike in lumber, which happened in December, added about $18,000 to the price of an average home across the country. That, at a time when real estate's going up anyway, so that's another big dig. And of course, our government's response was to increase the tariffs on lumber, which probably didn't help a whole lot. So you got to wonder what's going on there.
All of that's above my pay grade. But here's what I'll say:
you got to deal with it.
Yeah, down at the trenches, that $18,000 increase, when you finance that over 30 years, we're on a monthly basis. I don't know, we're talking maybe $20 extra a month. So $18,000 is $18,000. It's a lot of money. But when you take a look at the benefit on the back end, that cash flow, that extra $20 a month that you'd have to pay to finance that $18,000, it really wasn't a huge hit. We didn't feel it.
Right. And I think also when you look at interest rates are still very, very low. They're creeping up slowly, but they're still historically low. And I think when you compare the increased cost of materials versus what it would cost if the interest rates went up a little more, it's actually a good time to be doing it, even though you're paying more for materials, because you're still getting the funding at a lower rate.
Yeah. I mean, to put it in its simplest terms, take a look at your neighborhood. What is your neighborhood retailing for? North Park, where our office is in San Diego, it's like $600, maybe $650 per square foot there. So if you could build for $250 or $300 a square foot, that's just proof that, one, it's cheaper to build than to buy, and it's evidence as to why you need to build now, because that difference between what you could build for and what you could retail your lot for after the ADU is built is potentially increased equity value, right?
And it's going to keep going up. We still have a shockingly high shortage of housing compared to the demand. We even though we're building and ADUs are coming up, we're still very short compared to what people need to live in. So that creates that supply and demand and equity, which creates the higher values.
Absolutely.
And it's going to keep going up. So I want to move over to, we talked a little bit about, why you want to build an ADU, but I want to get into who are the ADUs really helping?
Everybody. And to put this in a perspective, they're helping the homeowners, they're helping the future renter of that ADU, they're helping grandma and grandpa who's going to get to age in place in your backyard, They're helping your son and daughter who just got into college and you don't want them in your house, but you want to keep them close by, so they're going to live in your backyard. They're helping everybody. But the thing that keeps my midnight oil burning is the opportunities that we're creating. We're helping homeowners improve their financial position by creating that rental income on that back end. We're creating employment opportunities because somebody's got to build these ADUs. And so in a moment where COVID took place and the whole world was seemingly coming to an end, we were out there desperately looking for talent to help build these ADUs.
Yeah, real estate and construction actually went up considerably during the shutdown, and everything else was shutting down. And we even saw the stock market going all over the place while real estate didn't just stay solid, it went up substantially. You know, I'm in the real estate sector myself. I do more land stuff. And when the pandemic first hit, our funding dried up for a few months because, you know, when there's uncertainty, you hoard your cash, right? Mm-hmm. And so obviously you don't want to put your money into a fairly highly speculative long-term real estate deal when you're not sure what's happening and the whole thing shuts down and we've never seen this before. About 3 months in, around probably 2.5 months in, the phone was ringing off the hook, and it was all these people that wanted to throw their money into our projects because real estate was booming, mm-hmm. and they had cash, they had nowhere to spend it, it was stacking up, and they didn't want to put in the stock market, and they didn't want to buy the precious metals, they didn't want to do other stuff. They knew real estate was where to go, so we've had a funding boom ever since. And that gets me to one of the next questions I have is, where does a homeowner find the money to do these things?
Oh, there's all kinds of money to come by. So most of our clients are using their equity. Home equity line of credit, cash out refinance. If you've got that equity, that's what you want to do. You're going to get the best terms that way. If you don't have that equity, let's say you just bought your property, right? And you don't have any equity yet. Take a look at doing a construction loan, renovation loan. That's a vehicle where you could actually borrow against the future value of your property after the ADU is built, thereby creating equity out of thin air.
Now, a lot of people don't know how to put the documents together to go to a bank and get that. So how would they do that? Because you have to go prove to the bank, this is what I'm going to do, and this is a legitimate estimate of what I'm going to be able to generate off of this so I can pay you back.
Yeah.
So who do we turn to?
Well, not every lender can do a renovation loan, construction loan. So first you need to find a lender that can do that. And the process looks like this. You're going to apply for that loan, get qualified, but then the other piece of that package is you have to get designs done, because that appraiser who's going to get tasked to assign a future value to the property has to take a look at the plans to somehow come up with a future value as to what this property is going to be worth after the ADU is built. So what am I saying? It's not just applying for the loan, but it's also working with a designer that's going to get you to that point where you've got site plans, floor plans, elevations, etc. So renovation or construction loans are very useful, but they are very, there's a lot of moving parts. And so you're going to want to get teamed up with a good either lender or project manager who knows how to work with those types of loans.
And that's where EDU Geeks comes in, because you have the connections to the experts that can help people navigate these waters.
Yeah, we will hold your hand through the entire process, start to finish. You literally don't have to do a single thing. You'll have one point of contact at EDU Geeks.
Okay. And so there's a little bit of money out of pocket, because you will have to pay a designer to put together a floor plan and a site plan and some elevations and maybe even a little rendering or something like that so we know, and help figure out what materials you're using. But it's a fairly small upfront expense compared to what the back end might provide for you. Especially, it will actually cause your property to appreciate. At some point, if you sell your property, if there's an ADU associated with it, that's a huge selling point for people, because people that maybe are stretching to get into their own home, if they know there's income they can get off of renting a unit that's attached to it, that can make the difference of whether they can qualify for that home and pay for it.
Yeah, that's just one of many stories that justifies ADUs as being a win-win situation. I can't think of a single reason or way that you would lose on an ADU project. Here's what I want to say. We keep talking about finances. For that homeowner who is not an experienced investor, right, but is thinking about their retirement and they haven't done a good job of saving for retirement, right? At this point, with ADUs as an option, I want to say planning to save your money is a complete waste of time. Not when money is cheap. Borrow that money, build an ADU, rent it out, create that cash flow. Now you got now you're one step closer to your retirement. And that is that whole process is about 9 months to a year. So instead of saving for how many years in hopes to have a retirement nest egg?
What's the current savings rate? About 0.001% interest or some ridiculous low amount that basically averages to zero. Yeah, you can put that money to work. And while you're not getting any interest on that money, there is a high rate of inflation right now, which is eating your savings up anyway. So put it to work.
Put it to work. And in 9 months to a year, you could have an asset that is working for you, bringing you, I don't know, $1,000 of cash flow. Here's a real life example. In La Mesa, we turned a single car garage into a studio ADU.
So a single car garage is about 20 foot deep by about 10 foot wide.
220 square feet on average. Yeah. Okay. So 2 car would be 400 square feet. That's enough to get you 1 bedroom, 1 bathroom. But in this situation, we got this couple a studio. We finished it on a Friday. By that following week, it was rented out for $1,600, and his financing was only $500 a month.
Oh, it's $1,000 net cash flow. So now you're getting the cash flow plus your appreciated value of your property goes up as well. So you're really making money twice. You're making it now and making it later for a fairly small upfront investment. We're going to have to go to a commercial break. When we come back, we're going to continue this conversation with Kalani Creutzburg of ADU Geeks. This is Steve Matley on Building Solid Foundations Radio. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back after this.